Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Sri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Pradeep Prabhuji, whenever you're ready, please go ahead, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchayva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Today we are reading 10th canto, the Samam Bonam, 70th chapter, Lord Krishna's daily activities from text 17 to 32. Text 17. The Lord, attended by all the Vrishnis, would enter the Sudharma hall, assembly hall, which protects those who enter it from the six waves of material life, dear King. Text 18. As the Almighty Supreme Lord would seat himself upon his exalted throne there in the assembly hall, he shone with his unique effulgence, illuminating all the quarters of space. Surrounded by the Yadus, lions among men, that best of Yadus appeared like the moon amidst many stars. Text 19. And there, O king, jesters would entertain the Lord by displaying various comic moods. Expert entertainers would perform for him, and female dancers would dance energetically. Text 20. These performers would dance and sing to the sounds of mridangas, veenas, murajas, flutes, cymbals, and conch shells, while professional poets, chronicles, and panegyrists would recite the Lord's glories. Text 21. Some Brahmanas sitting in that assembly hall would fluently chant Vedic mantras, while others recounted stories of past kings of pious renown. Text 22. Once a person arrived in the assembly, O king, who had never been seen there before. The doorkeeper announced him to the Lord and then escorted him inside. Text 23. That person bowed down to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and with joined palms he described to the Lord how a number of kings were suffering because Jarasandha had imprisoned them. Text 24. 20,000 kings who had refused to submit absolutely to Jarasandha during his world conquest had been forcibly imprisoned by him in the fortress named Girivraja. Text 25. The king said, as related through their messenger, O Krishna, O immeasurable soul, destroyer of fear for those surrendered to you. Despite our separatist attitude, we have come to you for shelter out of fear of material existence. Text 26. People in this world are always engaged in sinful activities and are thus bewildered about their real duty, who which is to worship which is to worship you according to your commandments. This activity would truly bring them good fortune. Let us offer our obeisances unto all powerful Lord, who appears as time and suddenly cuts down one's stubborn hope for a long life in this world. Text 27. You are the predominating Lord of the universe and have descended into this world with your personal power to protect the saintly and suppress the wicked. We cannot understand, O Lord, how anyone can transgress your law and still continue to enjoy the fruits of his work. Text 28. O Lord, with this corpse-like body, always full of fear, we bear the burden of the relative happiness of kings, which is just like a dream. Thus, we have rejected the real happiness of the soul, which comes by rendering selfless service to you. Being so very wretched, We simply suffer in this life under the spell of your illusionary energy. Text 29. Therefore, since your feet relieve the sorrow of those who surrender to them, please release us prisoners from the shackles of karma, manifest as the king of Magadha, wielding alone the prowess of 10,000 maddened elephants. He has locked us up in his house just as a lion captures sheep. Text 30. O wielder of the disc, your strength is unlimited, and thus 17 times you crushed Jarasandha in battle. But then, absorbed in human affairs, you allowed him to defeat you once. Now he is so filled with pride that he dares to torment us, your subjects. O unconquerable one, please rectify this situation. Text 31. The messenger continued, this is the message of the kings imprisoned by Jarasandha, who all anchor for your audience. Having surrendered to your feet, please, please bestow good fortune on these poor souls. Text 32. Shukadev Goswami said, when the king's messenger had thus spoken, the sage of the demigods, Narada, suddenly appeared, bearing a mass of golden matted locks on his hair. The supremely effulgent sage entered like the brilliant sun. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for reading the translations. Hare Krishna, dear Chaitanya Chandra Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Sri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Yeah, whenever you're ready, please take over, Prabhuji.
Thanks, Niran Prabhu, and thank you, Pradeep Prabhu, for reading our translations today. And thank you to all dear devotees for coming together this Friday morning to hear something from Srimad Bhagavatam. I will start by offering my prayers. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishnapristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Rama Hare Hare Mukham karoti vachalam panghum dangayate girim yadkripa tamaham vande Shri Gurutin Taranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 70, text 17 to 32 today. This chapter is titled The Daily Activities of Lord Krishna. And we heard so wonderfully yesterday from Rashchandika that the wonderful activities from the time Lord Krishna wakes up in the morning, all the different things he does, so as to set a very wonderful example for devotees of how we should be going about our own daily activities. So we concluded yesterday by saying that Lord Krishna finally gets ready to leave his 16,108 palaces. So once he leaves the palaces, the discussion continues here that the Lord then would enter the Sudharma assembly hall. So it is said, Srila Prabhupada describes in the Krishna book that when the Lord would exit in 16,108 forms from the different palaces and then come on the path that leads to the Sudharma assembly hall, all those 16,108 forms would merge into one form. And then that one form, Krishna, our dear Shamsundar Krishna, would then enter this assembly hall as one. So even though there were multiple forms, different people could not realize that there were multiple forms. Everybody could see only one form, but those forms would merge and Lord Krishna would enter. And this assembly hall, Srila Prabhupada describes, is not from the material realm. This was specifically brought down from the spiritual world in the city of Dwarka, and had this special quality that whoever was present within this assembly hall was free from the six pangs of material life. And Srila Prabhupada describes these to be as hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death. So essentially allowing the participants in this assembly hall to focus on the matters that are to be discussed by not being distracted by these six pangs of material life. So we moving on, we see that when Lord Krishna he sat himself upon the wonderful throne, his effulgence was illuminating all the areas of the assembly hall, and he was surrounded by the Yadus, who were the lions among men. And Sri Krishna, being the best of the Yadus, appeared like the moon amidst many stars. When I read this, I was reminded of a particular incident when Srila Prabhupada was actually establishing ISKCON. It's about 60 years ago. We just celebrated 60 years birth anniversary of ISKCON. That when Srila Prabhupada was, he had started this movement, there was this comment that, Srila Prabhupada, somebody had asked Prabhupada, that Prabhupada, how will we make so many devotees in this world? We are only 12. There were 12 people in that room. And Srila Prabhupada introduced the idea that we want to have an international society. This was in the Second Avenue in New York. And Prabhupada said, no, I don't want many stars. I just want one moon. As long as there is one moon, there are few devotees who are exemplary. And we see this through the lives of so many wonderful disciples of Srila Prabhupada, our Guru Varga, that those few devotees themselves have the potency, just like the moon can nourish so many um, plants and vegetables in the night. Those moon-like devotees, those disciples of Srila Prabhupada, are giving us so much nourishment so that we can understand and appreciate the depths of wonderful literatures like Srimad Bhagavatam. So with moving on in text 19, it is said that both 19 and 20, when the Lord would begin his assembly, there were many entertainers in different forms like jesters or dancers, professional poets, people who would tell different stories of different historical incidents. They would come and they would sort of entertain and just lighten the mood of the assembly. Now, in Kali Yuga, you would see that these category of professional people are given a lot of respect. People who are professional, like actors or actresses or singers, or movie stars. People are so much hankering after them. But in those times, that was considered as a ordinary regular profession. But more importance was given to sages or to brahmanas who would distribute knowledge, and that knowledge would help uplift people in their consciousness. But unfortunately, in the age of Kali, more importance is given to this profession in terms of professional acting. In text 21, goes on to say that the Brahmanas would then invoke mantras so that they could make the whole assembly auspicious. And we see oftentimes that when we do yajna in the temple, that we have auspicious chanting of the mantras just to make the environment very suitable. And then from text 22 onwards, there begins a narration of a story. A particular individual presents himself to the Sudharma assembly who nobody had seen in Dwarka before. So upon, after permission from Lord Sri Krishna, this person was allowed to present his dilemma into the court, the assembly hall. He comes in, he bows down to Krishna, Lord Krishna, and with joined palms, he describes how a number of kings were suffering because Jarasandha had imprisoned them. So it turns out to be that this particular individual is a messenger from about 20,000 kings who were captured by Jarasandha. And we'll go on to discuss what had happened. This messenger is going to describe later that Jarasandh was defeated by Sri Krishna 17 times. So the last time that Jarasandh attacked Krishna, we had just seen in the previous chapters how Lord Krishna decided not to engage with him anymore, but he left the battle and he transferred all the residents from Mathura to Dwarka overnight. And he left the battle, and that's why even Lord's leaving the battle is a transcendental leela. and that is why he got this beautiful name Ranchor. So when he did this transcendental Leela, Jarasan mistook it as a victory over Sri Krishna. So when he thought that, oh, I'm victorious over Sri Krishna, who is the most powerful or formidable warrior in this world, then I must be the most formidable warrior in this world because I won. He foolishly did not think that he lost 17 times, and this time was just what we call sometimes in sports is a bye. The other person didn't show up, so he got a bye, and by default he won. So with that, he became proud, and he started attacking other kingdoms in the region. And those 20,000 kings who did not submit to his authority, those were captured in this particular fort called Girivraja. And they were captured and they were tormented by Jarasan because they were not submitting to him. And one person from there managed to escape, or at least the kings were able to send one person as a messenger. And this is the person who is now narrating this dilemma to Sri Krishna in the assembly. He is the messenger on behalf of those 20,000 kings. We go on to say that this messenger then he prays to Sri Krishna and he glorifies Lord Krishna as, O immeasurable soul, destroyer of fear for those surrendered to you. Despite a separatist attitude, we have come to you for shelter out of fear for material existence. So we see that in Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, Lord Krishna describes that there are four kinds of people who approach the Lord. This is a good example we see. They are the Artharthi, the Jigyasu, and the Gyani. So the one who's in terrible distress, the one who wants a lot of material gains, the one who is curious, or the one who is in knowledge. So those kind of four people approach the Lord. So this messenger on behalf of the kings comes because they are in distress. He goes on to describe in the next few verses how they have tried to enjoy material benefits or material happiness, but they have not been very successful. In text 26, we see when this messenger is speaking on behalf of the king, that we wonder that these kings must be actually realized in the knowledge of the Shastras, but still they were not able to execute devotional service. It is said that people in this world are always engaged in sinful activities and are bewildered about their real duty, which is to worship you according to your commandments. This activity would truly bring them good fortune. So sometimes people know that performing bhakti, regularly worshipping the deities, doing our sadhana is going to bring us good fortune. But a lot of times people in this world are not wanting to execute that action. Let us offer, and then he goes on to say that let us offer obeisance unto the all powerful Lord who appears as time and suddenly cuts down one stubborn hope for a long life in this world. So it brings to thought, one point is that why, even though sometimes we may have the knowledge, we are not able to execute the content of the knowledge. Why, even sometimes we know what is right, we're not able to do it. Now, there are different ways to understand that. Srila Prabhupada in one time had mentioned that there is something called Gyan and Vigyan. Gyan means knowing something, means having the knowledge. And Vigyan means Prabhupada describes as realizing the knowledge, as realizing something that is factual, and then that becomes a part of your life, part of your routine, that aspect of knowledge. And how can we turn this Gyan into Vigyan? So it is sometimes very difficult because we may read again and again, but sometimes when the moment comes, we lose our cool, we forget what the knowledge is given, and we're not able to fully execute the benefit of that knowledge. Um, so one of the reasons is that because we may not have enough sukriti um, in order to understand this knowledge in a more deeper sense. When we read something, when we understand something, um, if Lord Krishna does not allow us, he does not remove the curtain of ignorance from us, we may not be able to appreciate the depth of it. So, in order to do that, one of the things that we can do is we should aim to strive to serve the devotees. When we serve the devotees and we please them, and when we please Lord Krishna, then Krishna himself will give us the intelligence to be able to execute that knowledge. Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam Dadhami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. That I am the one who removes this cloud of ignorance and gives knowledge to the devotee. So when does he do that? When we do certain tasks that allow us to serve the Vaishnavas and in that way serve the devotees. This is something called Bhakti Poshak Sukriti. So sometimes, people are engaged in some small service. They may go to the temple, to Rath Yatra. They may help lift a chair. They may help set up a table. They may help distribute a book. So sometimes just doing these small services, it may not mean a lot in the grand scheme of things, apparently. But these small activities of devotional service that we do, this is enabling our heart to become clean and allowing for the mercy of the Lord to flow. Once we get the mercy of the Lord, automatically we will start to understand and appreciate and execute some of the teachings that we have learned. Another thing important thing to remember is when we read something or hear a lecture. I had heard this from His Holiness Sachinandan Swami Maharaj, that sometimes we hear a point and we find that point to be brilliant. Oh, such a nice point in a lecture, and then 1 month later we have forgotten again. Oh, what was that? I forgot. So Sachinandan Maharaj compares this, to hearing lectures or reading as lighting a match. So when you light a match, you see that spark of fire comes out. And then what do you do normally after you light a match is you want to light the lamp because you're getting ready for Aarti. So you want to light the lamp. So you light the matchstick first. But before you can light the lamp, a wind comes and it blows off the match. So that is the sort of situation that we are in a lot of times. We keep lighting a lot of matches, but the wind keeps coming and blowing, and we're not able to execute that into devotional service of lighting the lamp. So the way Sachidanand Maharaj was explaining that the way you protect the match is you cover it with your hands. Normally what we do, if the wind is coming, you light a match, you immediately put your hand to cover so that the wind is not blowing off the light of the match, and then you can go light the lamp. Similarly, the knowledge that we acquire by reading the Shastras or hearing classes from Vaishnavas, we should repeatedly try to hear them, but we should also protect them by following the regulative principles, by serving the Vaishnavas. When we do that, that knowledge becomes more firm, and then we are able to light the lamp of devotional service and really practice that knowledge in practical life. This is the struggle that this messenger is sharing, that even though some people know that these are sinful activities and they have that knowledge, but they're still unable to execute and follow it. Now, in text 27, he actually brings up a point that we cannot understand how anyone can transgress your law and still continue to enjoy the fruits of his work. People ask this question a lot. Why do good things happen to bad people? We see somebody is doing bad to so many people, they're cheating them, they're taking advantage of other people, but they're still materially enjoying in this world. And we understand from the law of karma that sometimes people may have lots of good activities in the past that are slowly coming out now, but the bad activities that they are doing will also at some point come out. In text 28, this messenger shares on behalf of the king that something about true happiness versus material happiness. So I just kind of wanted to share a wonderful comparison that we see between material happiness and spiritual happiness. So the different qualities of material happiness we see, one is that material happiness is very transient. It is there for a limited time. You may want to go to an amusement park or go on a vacation. You are there for a few days and then it's over. Or you may want to eat something nice to please your tongue. You eat it and then it's over very quickly. But spiritual happiness is eternal. It always lasts with you. Another thing about material happiness is it's very limited. If you like to eat something nice, how much can you eat? Right? You eat some 1, 2, 4, 5 gulab jamuns, 10 gulab jamuns, and then after that you'll be like, oh no, I'm going to vomit. Like I can't eat anymore. Right? And then spiritual happiness is something that is you want more and more and more. Right? Once the kirtan is over, ecstatic kirtan, we say we want more kirtan, we want more kirtan. Right? Something that we can always keep taking more and more because it always keeps growing. Srila Prabhupada used to say spiritual happiness is not static, it is ecstatic. The other thing about material happiness is that it is mixed with fear. Amoghila Prabhu had described that it is just like eating a nice sweet rice pudding, or what we call kheer. So suppose when you're making kheer, if you did not wash the rice properly, then there may be a little bit of stones and pebbles in it. So when you're eating the kheer, you may get the taste of the elaichi, the taste of the kesar, the taste of all the nice ingredients in the sweet rice. But every now and then you'll get a cut. You'll get those pebbles or stones that are also in there. So material happiness is like that. You get some temporary benefit from it, but it is mixed with a lot of pain and misery. Again, like if you travel to some place, you have to do so much planning, this, that, then something may happen, something may get cancelled, you'll get disappointed. And everything in material world that comes is mixed with any distress. But spiritual happiness in comparison, it is pure, eternal, and always full of bliss. Material happiness is also very relative. It is something that may only apply to one group of people, may not apply to somebody else. You want to go to watch a football match. If you understand what football is, then you will understand, you will feel the excitement. Whereas somebody who completely has never seen and goes to watch a football match, he may wonder, why are so many people running after one ball? Why can't they just all take their own balls and play and be happy? Right? So it's one happiness for somebody and maybe distress for another person. And that is also another nature of material happiness. Is it usually involves happiness for one and distress to somebody else. You see, in a World Cup match, in a final, in a stadium, at the end of the match, one side of the stadium is very happy and jumping and dancing in joy, and the other side is crying and bickering and fighting because they've lost the match. Right? Material happiness usually is relative to one person and compared to another. But spiritual happiness, you come next week, we're celebrating Krishna Janmashtami in the temple. You'll see everybody in the temple is happy. Everybody in the temple is dancing and chanting and jumping. There is no one side that is sad, because spiritual happiness is not relative. It is absolute to each and every living entity in this world. So in that particular way, this particular messenger realizes that they were really after material happiness, but now they have realized that the only source of happiness is surrender to Sri Krishna. Again, he goes on to describe his dilemma to Lord Krishna about how Jarasan has been, really torturing these kings, and they have come to take surrender of his lotus feet, and he asks to be delivered from the situation. So just as this messenger is introducing this plea to Lord Krishna, our very dear Srila Narad Muni appears on the stage. And he's now going to have this wonderful conversation that we'll see on Monday between Lord Krishna and Sri Narad Muni. So with this, I'll end the discussion today. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So well said.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Chaitanya Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.